welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that great big subscribe button down below. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like that or post a new video. And don't forget, give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content as we go along. If you didn't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this wonderful, beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 asexual real life stories, love, life and sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. If you haven't got a copy yet, please click one of the links below. And I'm also the founder of Asexualized Academy and the founder of asexualized.com. Hello, Andy. Nice to see you. Hello, everyone else that's watching. So in today's episode, I want to talk to you about how do you know if you are ready to be in a relationship or not yet. Okay, so this is a really important topic. I don't think it's discussed by many people. It's more like you're either in a relationship or you're not in a relationship, and what to do with all the problems in or out of it. But today's episode, I want to talk to you about how to know you're actually relationship ready. So first of all, how do you know if you are or you aren't? So I need to discuss both of these, like the things that you should be before you go into a relationship and the things that if you're lacking, you should sort out first, right? So basically, before you get into a relationship, okay, one of the top things I would say to you is, do you believe you are ready to be in a relationship? That is the ultimate question that you need to answer before anything else, right? I'm going to just undo my top a bit because it's a bit hot in here. So you have to ask yourself, honestly, sit down, spend time with yourself on your own saying, am I ready for a relationship? And if the answer is no, do not get into a relationship, because you know yourself better than anyone else on the planet. You know yourself better than anyone else in the world. I'm just going to take that off a minute. And if you know in your own mind that you're not ready for a relationship, don't bother trying. Don't bother trying to get into a relationship. Sort yourself out first, right? You don't want to be getting into a relationship with the mindset that, oh, I'm not ready for a relationship. I don't want a relationship. I'm going to be no good in the relationship. That's just doomed to fail, because your mindset is everything. So if you think things are going to go wrong, they will go wrong because you'll preempt them to go wrong. And when you get into it, you'll be like, oh, I told you so. That was bound to fail, because you were thinking that. Mindset is everything. So you have to make sure that your mind is in it. Your mind is invested in a relationship before you even get into one. Does your mind believe that you are capable of a relationship? Does your mind think you're in a good place right now for a relationship? Does your mind think, this is what I really want and I can make room for this person, whoever they are, in my life? Mindset is everything, and attitude as well. What is your attitude towards a relationship? Is it positive or is it negative? If it's negative, it won't last long, will it? Because you're already putting all those negative vibes out there, and someone's going to pick up on that, whether you mean to or you don't mean to. That's going to happen, right? So you have to have the right mindset. You have to be in the right place in your head, and you have to set an intention. You have to be intentional that you want to be in a relationship, not blasé, not like, oh, I might have a relationship, I don't know. You have to know exactly what you want as well. If you do not know exactly what you want in a relationship, do not get into a relationship. You have to know what you want. I cannot urge you enough. You have to be very specific about what you want. Do you want marriage? Yes or no? This is the important, deal breaker questions you need to know before you get into a relationship. Do you want marriage? Yes or no? Do you want kids? Yes or no? Do you want to live with that person? Yeah, whoever they are. Yes or no? Obviously, your answers might come back that I'm okay with it either way. Like, if the person wants to marry me, great. If they don't want to marry me, I'm okay with that. So then you definitely have that definite thing in your head. Of course, when you're in a relationship, some things might change, all right? They can do that. But you have to have like a map, like a goal, like a outline of what you want before you get into it, because you're going to end up with rubbish else. You're going to end up with things you don't want, situations you don't want to be in, uncomfortability, things that clearly were never going to work in the first place and cause you heartache and pain because you haven't sorted your mind out as to what you want and what you don't want. You need to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, don't bother getting into a relationship. You cannot possibly be good for someone else if you don't know what you want, right? So before you get into a relationship, you have to think, is this person good for me, but am I good for them? And so in order to be a good person for someone, you need to know exactly what you want. the standards, boundaries, expectations that you have. And you need to be able to discuss these with the person before you ever get into a relationship with them, whoever they are. Because if you haven't got the same standards, boundaries, and expectations, things are going to go wrong in the relationship before they even start. It is going to be doomed to fail then. Do you know what I mean? So you have to have all this in place before you get into a relationship. You have to have yourself sorted out. Your confidence should be the best it can be. I'm not going to say you're going to be confident at every single thing, because no one's confident at every single little thing. Some of us have wobbly moments, you know, but you should be as confident as you can be in yourself. You should be as happy as you can be, secure in yourself as you can be. Doesn't mean to say the relationship you go into is going to be perfect one, the right one, or work out well, but you have to go in with the attitude that I'm the best I can be for this person and for myself right now in my life. You know, you have to be in that position. It's no good if you're not confident and you're wobbling around everywhere and don't know what the hell you want. No person wants that in their life. What woman, for example, wants a guy who doesn't know what the hell he wants? It's useless. Absolutely useless. Same as vice versa. What guy wants a woman who doesn't know what she wants? I mean, if she don't know what she wants, how the hell are you supposed to know what she wants to give it to her? How are you supposed to know that? You can't possibly know that. So you need to know what you want, and you need to be looking for someone else who knows what they want. Don't get into a relationship with someone who doesn't know what they want, because they'll just be screwing with your head every 5 minutes. They'll be all over the place with their head, and so you will be all over the place. You'll be like, I've got no stability in this person. I've got no confidence in them, because they're not a stable person to be around. They've got no confidence in themselves. They're all over the place. They don't know what they want. That's not good to get into a relationship with that type of person. They'll be up and down like the wind, changing. You don't want someone who's changeable. You want someone who's stable, who's going to give you like a really good relationship, who's going to be there for you, who you know all about them. They're grounded with you, right? You don't want someone that's wishy-washy. You want someone who's very, very dead certain, you know? In general, you know, people, you know, you might see, like, obviously in the heteronormative world, you might see people that, oh, they go to nightclubs, they go out and have a good time. But a lot of those people, they don't end up in relationships with a lot of those type of people. They're just there to have fun. The type of people they end up in relationships with a lot of the time are ones, well, theoretically speaking, are ones that would make good fathers, mothers. I don't want kids, and so I don't need all that, but they go for a different type of person. So they might like when, like, you know, they might like when they're out in their crazy wild days to go clubbing and to go to this, that, and the other. And I'm not saying they don't meet them, because I know someone, and I've known people that do meet people through nightclubs. So it's not like all nightclubs are bad and you can never meet someone. But in general, a lot of people that go to nightclubs, for example, are going for sex. I don't, because I love dancing, but that's what most people are going there for, to have sex with someone and have a good time. Do you know what I mean? But those are not the type of people you want to be settling down with. So if you're looking to get into a relationship with someone, you'd be looking at places that are more sophisticated, that are more like natural setting and environment, not something that's highly hormonal pumped. Do you know what I mean? It's, you know, it's all right if you just want a bit of fun or a snog, or if you're sexual, obviously watching this, sex. But you know, if you're asexual, you're not going to be going around looking for that, are you? You might be looking for a kiss or a cuddle, but that's pretty much it. I mean, most likely kissing would lead to sex. I mean, I have to make it very plain and clear if I ever see a guy in a nightclub that I'm not interested in that. Hi, my dad says some people should stay single. However, yes, some people should definitely stay single to at least they've got their head sorted and screwed on the right way. Yeah. And obviously anyone who's you know, not ready for a relationship, or knows they're gonna cock it up indefinitely, shouldn't do it. But I mean, there's people that are asexual that have never been in relationships. So I don't want to discourage everyone from being in a relationship, because that's not the point of this video. The point is I'm trying to assess people, a situation, to try and help them to know when's best time to get into a relationship with them, you know, because asexuals do want a relationship, a lot of us, especially romantic ones, you know, and we deserve to be in a relationship just like anyone else, you know. I'll come on to obviously being single later on, but this video is specifically talking about you know when you're ready to get a relationship. Obviously, if you want to be single forever, then don't get into a relationship, right? You know, I actually love being single, right? So it's very hard for me to transition from single into a relationship. There's kind of a bit of a tug of war sometimes there, even though I'm probably naturally programmed to be in a relationship with someone from a young age. That's kind of like I've got a programming inside me that I think is still innately born in me to a certain extent. But But anyway, yeah, so you need to be coming from a place of strength before you go into a relationship, a place from standards, boundaries, and knowing what you want. And like I said, the deal breakers are so important. You have to know about marriage, kids, and obviously if you're an asexual that's going to start dating sexuals, you need to know, like, do you want sex? Are you ever going to have sex with them? Are they going to be allowed to get their sex elsewhere, or is it going to be a monogamous relationship? Is the other person going to be okay with that? Have you talked to them about before you even get into the relationship with them? You're not ready to be in a relationship with a sexual person if the sexual person wants sex and you don't ever want it. It doesn't mean to say you're not ready for a relationship. You're not ready to be in a relationship with a sexual who wants sex if you don't want it, and they do. Do you see what I mean? So you have to know exactly what this goes back to, knowing exactly what you want again and what you will and won't tolerate in a relationship. It goes back to boundaries and knowing yourself really well. And that's a big thing. You need to know yourself really well. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses, right? You're not going to change weaknesses overnight. Some weaknesses you'll always have, right? You have to understand yourself on a deep foundational level. Do not get into a relationship either. You are not ready if you've just got out of a relationship, how you carry yourself. Yeah, exactly, Heather. If you've just come out of a relationship, you don't want to be getting into another one. I know that there's a big saying, especially in the sexual world, there's a big saying about basically, to get over one person, get under another. In other words, have sex with someone else when you've just come out of a relationship because it'll make you feel better, like, because you're taking your mind off the other person, right? I don't recommend doing that. I mean, I used to be a person years ago that did used to go from relationship to relationship. Not gonna lie to you. I was in relationships since being a teenager. I mean, I had a boyfriend at 6 years old. We don't want to go into that again, do we? Because it wasn't great for me. But in general, from like 14, I think it was, upwards till 2011, I had a boyfriend nearly consecutively all the time, apart from 6 month break. That's all I had. It was boyfriend after boyfriend. If I came out of a relationship, I was only single for a few weeks or whatever. You could look at that thinking, wow, lots of guys like you. Yeah, but the wrong guys, it's not good. So you don't want to be getting into relationship. When in 2011 was split up with my long-term ex, that was it. I made myself stay single for a year. I think I was just shy of a year because I think the guy I dated, well, I wasn't actually in a relationship, but I split up with my ex in November 2000. Well, we split up in November 2011. And I think the first guy I dated after that was October 2012. That was only dated. I wasn't in a relationship with him. But I was forcing myself to not get into a relationship. I had loads of guys interested in me, but I was like, don't get into a relationship, don't get into a relationship, don't get into a relationship. Because my head wasn't good. I knew it wasn't good. And when you've come out of a relationship, you need to give yourself time and space, not jump into another one, because you'll likely make the same mistakes, or that you'll be on the rebound, or you'll be very, very weak and very not good for yourself. Also, if you've been in a bad relationship and you don't trust guys at the moment, or girls, that's going to be very bad, because you're not going to trust the next person that comes along, even if they seem really trustworthy, because your head's going to be telling you, well, how can you trust anyone now? How can you trust someone? Because this person you trusted, and maybe they were really trustworthy in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they started lying and not telling the truth and hiding stuff, and then you're like, I don't even know who the hell they were. And that sort of impression can leave a lasting impression in your mind, and it can hurt you, and it can hurt your mindset. It can hurt your it can hurt you for a bit. And so you have to give yourself time to grieve, or to get over that, to get away from that, to start trusting people again. Be around people that you can trust and start to get the trust back again. But for me personally, friendships are very different to relationships. I trust my friends implicitly, but in a relationship, it's a completely different story. I don't trust guys in relationships, to be honest, but I trust my friends. So I got completely different trust things going on. So it's kind of really hard for me. I don't really trust guys in relationships, and that's probably because I haven't had a good relationship yet. Doesn't mean to say I'm not going to get one. But yeah, so I think that you've really got to make sure that if you've been in a relationship, even if it was for a couple of weeks or several years, you've got to give yourself time to get over that, and you've got to give yourself time to have a break, and just regain your life back again, and regain your mindset back, and your well-being and your health, and make sure that you're sorting yourself out first. And also it's good to be in quite a good place financially. I mean, you don't have to have tons of money, but if you're basically living at home with parents, if you're thinking about moving in with someone in the future, how's that gonna be if you're living at home with your parents still, right? You're not going to have the finances. You're not going to like say you're still at college, or you're at university, you're studying, or you're living with parents for whatever reason, you haven't got your own place. And, like, if you want to live with a person, are you going to live with them with your parents, which they might not want? Do you know what I mean? They might be like, well, I don't want to go back to being a teenager, like living with my parents or your parents again. I want freedom to just live with you on my own and want privacy together. Do you know what I mean? So you have to be thinking of those type of things, and you have to be, like, maybe you don't want to live with a person in the future, so in which case it might be okay, but then do you still want your parents to be hanging around when you bring them over to your house if you've got no privacy and can't go anywhere with them? Do you know what I mean? You still got to be thinking that. I mean, obviously, because I like younger guys, I'm kind of used to them still being at their parents' house, to be honest with you. But it hasn't happened a situation yet where I've actually been over, been in a relationship where I've been with someone over at their house while their parents has been there. Because, I haven't had a relationship with a younger guy where I've met the parents yet. So, and they've been living with their parents. So that's kind of like, something that's never actually come to fruition. But you know what I mean? You kind of like need privacy. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, a lot of the time they will say sort your finances out, but I do know there's a lot of people in the asexual community that, they do have mental health problems. They are on benefits, quite a few of them, and I think they deserve love and a chance just as much as anyone else does. And I think, if you've got mental health problems, I think you just have to ask yourself, like, can you cope with a relationship and with your mental health problems at the same time? To be fair to that person, I mean, the last thing you want is like 3 months, months down the line for you, oh, thanks for the thumbs up, for you to say, oh, well, I've got mental health problems, I can't cope with a relationship right now. Like, if you're up and down, your mood changes. Like, 1 minute you want a relationship, the next minute you don't, that's going to be no good for the other person. So when you're seeking a relationship, you shouldn't be seeking it selfishly, as in, I just want a relationship for myself. You should be thinking about the other person, and are you going to be a strong person for them? Are you going to be kind for them? Are you going to be caring for them? Are you going to be confident and strong around them? Are you going to know what you want? I mean, it's no good getting into a relationship if you're still all over the place with people. Like, if, for example, I want to, like, I'm interested in like 10 guys at once, right? I'm interested in a relationship with 10 different guys. Is that going to bode well if I then get into a relationship with just one guy when I'm like after 10 guys? I'm not after 10 guys, but hypothetically, if I was, it's not going to be good for me, is it? Because I'm not going to be able to give my focus and attention to that one person. I'm going to have feelings for all these other like 9 people or whatever. I'm going to be like chatting to them as well, and it's just going to get utter chaos. And I'm not saying when you're in a relationship you can't talk to the you can't talk to the opposite sex, or you're never going to be fancy someone else, but you need to know that like, if you want a monogamous relationship or a polyamorous relationship, if you want to be settled down, or if you'd rather be wild and free, do you know what I mean? You need to know all these things before you get into a relationship, included them. Heather, I'm not sure what you mean by included them, but yeah, so it's really important that you know that. And one of the most important things is you are confident in what you want, and you know exactly what you want. If you don't know exactly what you want, I mean, seriously, there are people on asexual dating sites, they don't even put in their profile what they're after. They put basic information. It's like, how the hell is anyone supposed to understand you from a few basic, like, I'm male or female or whatever gender you are, I live in such and such a city, include them in relationship? Yeah, you've got to include them in your relationship. A good point, Heather. Now I understand what you're saying. Yes. So basically, you've got to know before you get into a relationship how you are going to include them in the relationship and in your life. You have to, like, I always say to myself, I have a space for someone in my life, right? Because I know personally, I want to be in a relationship with a guy who wants to speak to me daily, who wants to message me daily, like Skype, video chat, phone calls, texting each other. I do actually want that. There's times when I do need to work on my own, though. I do need to like switch off from social media, otherwise I just don't get any work done. So it's kind of hard for me to find a balance between that sometimes, because my hyper romanticism is like, oh, I want to talk to the person all the time, which obviously isn't practical. You can't do it all the time, but my heart wants to do that nearly all the time. And then the other part of me is like, no, I've got work to do. I need to just cut off because I'm getting stressed because I can't do everything that I need to do. So obviously, if I was in a relationship, I need to be like kind of like managing my time well. and discussing things with them and stuff. And like, also in a relationship, you've gotta like you say, include them in the relationship. You also got to start talking about like lifestyles and things like that. If you've got two different lifestyles, how are you going to manage that? I mean, if it's a long distance relationship, how are you going to manage the time zones if you're in completely different countries, right? You're not going to be ready for a relationship if, say, like your partner's 8 hours difference, right? And your partner's in another country, and you're going to bed when they're just waking up in the morning. I mean, unless you've got a plan for what you're going to do, are you going to stay up? Are you gonna stay up later for them at some point? Are they gonna stay up later for you? Are they gonna expect you to wake up earlier in the morning so you can video chat before the day begins? How is that gonna work? Same with the dynamics. It doesn't matter where you live. I mean, if you live in the same country, what if one person's working nights, one person's working days? How are you gonna work out speaking to each other, seeing each other? Do you know what I mean? How's that dynamic going to work? Because you might have a day where you work all day and then you're free in the evening. That person might decide that they like, for example, me, I like working in the night, working in the evening through the night a lot of the time. So for me, my night time is my work time. If I've got a person who's free every evening, but they're not in the day, but then I'm having to sacrifice my work or stuff that I want to do and get done in the evening because that's my work time to speak to them because they can't speak to me in the day. That's not really going to work out, is it? Because it's going to be one person giving and one person taking all the time. It's not right. Someone's going to get peed off with that eventually. So you have to like make sure before you get into a relationship that not only are you ready for a relationship, but the person you're getting into a relationship with is ready. You're both kind of ready, and kind of how things will work, and you can discuss things before you even get into the relationship. Like you can lay the foundation, like, okay, hypothetically, if this was to happen, how would you feel about this? Hypothetically, what would happen then? And I know it sounds weird because a lot of people don't do this, but the problem is they jump in with all the feelings and they haven't really sorted out the foundations of how everything's going to work, the dynamics. Like, how often are you going to see each other? You're going to see each other once. Yeah, you have to be honest, Heather. Exactly. Are you going to see each other once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, every night? You're going to live together or not live together? Do you want to be living with someone within a year? Is that your stipulation? Do you want marriage within 2 years? Do you know what I mean? You kind of have to be thinking about all these different things. So you have to have everything in place that you possibly can have to have the foundation, the confidence, the strength, the stamina to withhold and withstand a relationship. Otherwise, you have to be realistic. Yes, Heather, you have to be honest. You have to be realistic. You have to include them in your life. You have to make a space for them in your life. I have a space that's already there that I know of, you know what I mean, when the right person comes along. But, I'm not in the right frame of mind. I need to be single for a while, yeah? Because I just, as you know, I had a relationship, however brief it was, last month. And I'm not the type of person that thinks it's good to just go from that into a relationship. I don't think it's good. I'm happy being single at the moment. I need to be single for me at the moment because I just don't trust people at the moment, in general. And I mean, I do trust people, but not in the relationship sense. So I need to just stay with myself, being single and happy. I mean, for me, I've always been happier when I've been single than in a relationship, which that's kind of really difficult for me to say in some ways, but it's the truth. I've always been happier. I'm really happy, confident, secure, really, like my life's fabulous when I'm single. When I'm in a relationship, it kind of goes all different, and I don't really know why. I mean, that means I need to work on something within me. Trust is hard. Yeah, it's really hard, Heather, even with asexual guys. I mean, like, it's very difficult. I've got one best friend and he's got exactly the same. Well, obviously I've got more than one best friend because Andy's on here. He's my best friend as well. But I got another best friend and he has exactly the same boundaries in the relationship with me. So I 100% would trust him. He's homo-romantic. Well, he used to identify as pan-romantic. He's homo-romantic now. But I 100% trust him because his boundaries are the same. I know that his boundaries are clearly defined between friends and relationship. No doubt about it. Clearly defined. He would not go back on that. He's so strong like me in that way. But there's no good me getting into a relationship with a guy whose boundaries he don't have any. Like he just could be with anyone. Do you know what I mean? That's not the type of guy I want in a relationship. I need a strong guy for me. Someone who has clearly defined boundaries and knows what he wants and doesn't just want anyone and everyone. Who wants a person that wants anyone and everyone? I mean, they don't. No person wants, but a person wants to be chosen. A person wants them to know that you've chosen them. If you can't choose a specific person, don't be with a specific person. Do you know what I mean? It's not good. And the trust is hard, Heather. Exactly. And if people don't put boundaries in, like like me and my best friend that got the same boundaries, you know, that's how come we're very, very trustworthy, because you know, we've got the same boundaries. So for example, you know, like with friends will behave differently to in a relationship. So if we're in a relationship with someone, me and you know, like I have the same boundaries as my best friend. Like if he's in a relationship, he would like cuddle and be affectionate with that person, but he won't be with his friends. And I'm exactly the same like that. You know, I don't do cuddling and kissing outside of a relationship or someone I'm dating. Obviously, if I'm dating because I want to be in a relationship with someone, like, you know, I that type of thing, then I will do that. Obviously, with me, if I'm in a nightclub and I do want to kiss a guy, a foreign guy, for example, I will do that. But I wouldn't do that with my friends. Do you see what I mean? I just wouldn't happen. Um, so I think it's really important that you understand everything before you get into a relationship. You know, you understand what you want, you understand and understand how that person's going to fit into your life. You've thought about your finances, you've thought about your, you know, your days, your space, your time. You know, you have to like really be aware of all these different things together before you get into a relationship. And like I said, you know, like if you have got some mental health problems, that's fine if the mental health problems are ones that you can work with the person who you're with. Right, some mental health problems, they don't, you know, they're not so bad, they can be fine and not really affect the relationship hugely if you've got someone supportive in that. But obviously if you've got a mental health problem, that means you're up and down like a yo-yo. One minute you want a relationship and the next minute you don't. There are people like that, and it doesn't mean to say you can't have a relationship. I actually know my uncle, I don't really talk about my uncle, right? But my uncle is with someone who's got manic depression, bipolar, right? That his partner's got bipolar disorder, right? Manic depression. And his last wife had that. So he really understands the mental health condition. He really understands what it's like. And the person that he's with, she is sometimes wanting to be in a relationship with him and other times pushes him away. But because he's used to having a wife that had the same condition, he can deal with that. And he's been in the relationship with this woman now for a very, very, very long time. And it's because he kind of like has all that previous experience of years of marriage before to my auntie who killed herself, sadly. You know, so yeah, mental health is a real issue, right? Really has to be taken seriously, you know. You know, like he's used to that. But personally, that I wouldn't want someone who was like who was like, personally for me, I couldn't deal like that, because if they were up and down, I feel I was unstable in the relationship. If they're up and down as in, you know, like they're not having a great day, that's a bit different. But if they were pushing me away, then I'd be like, it's not good for me. It's not, because you have to think about two people's mental health in a relationship, and are you good for each other, you know? Like obviously two people who've got similar mental health problems could be very good for each other because they could understand each other. They know how the other works, they understand when they need alone time or together time, and that could work really well. But if you've got different mental health conditions that could conflict with each other, that might not work out, you know? And if you've got you know, like sometimes people can have mental health conditions can be the same, but one can be more severe than the other, and it could actually make the other person worse. So, you know, you've got to very much weigh up the mental health issues between the two of you to decide. I know one person who's in a relationship really, really happy, and they've got similar sort of problems in terms of like mental health issues, and they love and support each other, and theirs is a very, very loving, positive relationship, and they're very, you know, very happy together. And so it can work out really, really well. And so, you know, and I think, you know, because a lot of people in the asexual community have got mental health difficulties, I don't think that should prevent you getting into a relationship. But I think you need to know that you can manage your mental health difficulties as well as you can, and that you can talk to the person, you know, your partner, about it. You can share when you're having problems, not just cut yourself off from them. You know, if you're having a bad day, you need to let them know it's not their fault, because I'll always, usually automatically, human nature think it's their fault. You know, like if you're feeling like really depressed, but you're getting a bit angry or peed off or whatever, they're going to ultimately think, well, your attitude's changed. Why are you being like that with me? So you need to explain beforehand, look, I'm, you know, like my mental health's not great today. I'm not in a good state. And then, you know, like, do you want to talk about it or don't you want to talk about it? You know, obviously, if you do talk about it, it helps, because when you share things, a problem shared is a problem halved. And by sharing, you know, your your kind of issues with each other, it builds that trust, it builds that like bestest friendship in a way, you know, because if I know, if I can go, because I can go to my friends and tell them a lot actually, which is really really nice, especially my best friends. And so it's really really nice, because if I know I can share stuff with them, then I haven't got like anything to worry about. I'm not, you know, like I can just be myself. And I think in a relationship you really need to share and be yourself. I think if you've got someone with mental health problems but they keep a lot secret to themselves, I think that can cause a huge barrier between you and them. And I think, you know, it's kind of like it's a wall that doesn't need to be there. And you know, it doesn't, you know what I mean? And by actually being more secretive about your mental health and pretending it's like it's not happening is the worst thing you can do. You have to be coming from a place where you're you know, you're coming from a place where your mental health, you know, you have it, you'll manage it as best you can, and you've got it, and you're being honest with the person. Like Heather said, you've got to be honest with the person. You've got to say, look, I've got this mental health condition, this is how it affects me. You know, how do you feel about getting into a relationship with someone like that? Do you know, obviously the other person's not going to exactly know until they're in a relationship with you, you know, where they can actually totally handle that or not, but they should have an idea. You know what I mean? Like if it's a mental health condition that they've been dealing with before and they couldn't deal with it, then they know that they're not going to be able to like deal, you know, like be with someone like that. But if it's a mental health condition, like I said, like my uncle's had great experience with, then you know that it is possible. You know, I mean, obviously because my uncle's got that specialist knowledge and experience, he's able to be with someone where other people probably couldn't be with that woman, which she's very nice. I've met her, she's lovely, wouldn't harm a fly, she's very beautiful, right? But she has a lot of mental health problems in herself, you know. But because he's got experience, he works really well with her, and they've been together a long time. So you know, you've got to take everything on a case by case case by case basis, and you know, and you've got to be very open and honest. And if you're in a position where you don't feel like being open and honest, you'd rather be secretive, you'd rather keep things to yourself, you'd rather hide things, you don't want, you know, you don't want that vulnerability, you're not ready for a relationship either, because a relationship will really really make you completely vulnerable. You know, you're going to be with this person for presumably a long time, maybe the rest of your life if you're lucky. And you know, and you're gonna be open to vulnerabilities. You're gonna, you know, you can't keep things hidden. If you're a type of person who wants to keep everything hidden, don't be in a relationship, because it's not going to be a good relationship. You might be together with a person for a long time, it'll be very rocky, there'll be a lot of upset and pain in the relationship. You know, being in a relationship means you're very vulnerable. You have to open, you know, put as you go along, you put your walls down. Your heart's guarded right at first, but then you eventually you move that guard away, and that person holds your heart in their hand, right? So you have got to trust them a lot, and you've got to trust yourself, and you're going to be in a vulnerable position, because how we love on a deep emotional level, soulmate connection I'm talking about, not just like he's my boyfriend, girlfriend. If you're living on a deep soulmate connection, you get deeper and deeper in love with that person the more life goes on. And so the more vulnerable you become, but you have to share your feelings constantly in order to keep that really deep soulmate connection. The people that can't form that soulmate connection are the ones where one or both of them is holding stuff back. They're having secrets. They're keeping stuff from the other person. They're not opening up. You know, I can feel the difference between when I'm with a friend talking and they're opening up and I'm feeling that deep connection with them, to a friend who doesn't tell me much about themselves, may ask some stuff about me, but doesn't tell me much about themselves. It's like I don't really know the other person when they're not telling me much about themselves. It's like, well, yeah, I can be attracted to you, but you're not really telling me much about yourself. How could I ever be in a relationship with someone like that? I can't. You know, you need really, for a long lasting, sustainable relationship, you've got to be open and honest all the time. And don't, you know, if you ever feel like lying, don't get into a relationship. Once you have broken the trust in the relationship, that's it. You can't get it back. Even if you think you can, you can't. It's gone. Do you know what I mean? Because you have this underlying thing in your head, like, I can't trust them now. I can't trust them. You might try and forgive them, you might try and, but you can't totally trust them. Do you know what I mean? So you don't want to be breaking that trust. You want to go from a place where you want to be, you know, it doesn't mean to say you're not going to make mistakes, because people do, but you need to become from a place where you can be totally trustworthy, open and honest, and have no secrets. And don't be like, you know, you don't want to be getting into a relationship with a person that's like getting funny about you, asking them basic questions about their life or anything. Anyone can ask me anything, especially in a relationship. I'm an open book. I haven't got anything to hide. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I talk, you know, I have guys I talk to and stuff, you know, I don't, you know, I don't have any I don't have any problem with anyone knowing what I'm doing because, like, you know what I mean? I'm an open book. I'm trustworthy. You know what I mean? And you should be getting a relationship where the other person's trustworthy. You know, if they're hiding their phone, they're being secretive and all that stuff, you don't want to be with a guy like that. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? The guy should be like going, yeah, this is my photographs on my phone. Yeah, this is like, you know what I mean? You don't want to be, you know, so you have to be ready for a relationship yourself, but you have to obviously ask yourself as well, um, the person that you're thinking about getting a relationship with, are they ready? So part of the preparation for being in a relationship, like, are you ready for a relationship? If there's a specific person that you'd like to be in a relationship with, are they ready? If they're not ready to be in a relationship, right, you can't be in a relationship with them. You either stay single if you want to stay single, or you look for other people, right? Because if that person's not ready, they'll either step up to the plate and decide, well, actually, I am ready, you know, now, and get themselves sorted, or they won't ever be ready, or they might be ready in years to come. In which case, you can go, you know, you go and look for other people, don't you? Don't put your life on hold for someone who's not ready. You need to be getting with the person who's also ready, like you are, for a relationship, not with someone who isn't and doesn't know what they want. So, you know what I mean? And I think it's really hard with asexuality and asexuals because some of us can, you know, feel quite lonely, isolated, and, you know, like, if you get a glimmer of hope from someone for a relationship, it's kind of like that really, really big shiny object, isn't it? Like dangling in front of you. But if you're not careful, even like with me, you know, you can make the mistake of picking someone who looks like a really nice shiny object, but when you peel away the layers, they're not exactly what you thought they were or what you wanted. So I think you've got to be crystal clear on what you want, and then really get to know the person as a friend as well. I would say you're not ready for a relationship really if you're just jumping into a relationship. Like, obviously with my track record, sometimes I do jump into relationships, but that doesn't bode well, does it? So I would say definitely, you know, before you get into a relationship with anyone, be really good friends with them first, like really know them, like loads, like spend loads of time with them, share more of your secrets and yourself, you know, start finding out what they were like as a kid, start finding out like what their life's been like, start finding out how their ideology is about relationships. Is it ideology you agree with or you don't agree with? You know, start finding out about more of them as a person and to get to know them on a deeper level, because, you know, obviously friendship can be deeper levels as well, you know, like you can have like a friendship, like it's just like an acquaintance. You can have a friendship that's a good friendship, you can have a friendship that's a really close friendship, or you can have a friendship that's a soulmate bordering on maybe going to more. Do you know what I mean? So you have to really, you know, like, it's not just about if you're it should be like when I'm saying this, are you ready for a relationship, it's not just about you, it's about who you'll get into a relationship with. So you need to make sure that you're ready, in the sense you're confident about what you want, you're clear about what you want, you've got your boundaries in place. If you haven't got any boundaries in place, you're going to be a doormat, right? I'm telling you that now. If you have no boundaries in place, if you're all over the place, you are a prime target for someone get into a relationship with you and walking all over you like a doormat, which is not what you want, you know? You don't want to be a doormat. You want to be with someone who really cares about you, really loves you, wants to be with you, and you know that they're the right person for you, not to be a doormat, you know? And you got to remember that, you know, like, although we're in a minority and it does feel a bit desperate at times, you know, like, even on Asexuality today, I saw a post and it was like, I just want to be in a relationship with anyone. Right? It's like, do you really want to be in a relationship with anyone? Do you want to be in a relationship with a drug dealer, murderer? Do you know what I mean? Do you really want to be in a relationship with anyone? It's ridiculous. Of course you don't want to be in a relationship with just anyone. That's an absolutely ridiculous statement. But, you know, like, it might be someone reaching out because like they're quite frustrated at the dating scene, right? But even people that were replying back to that thread, it was like, well, you need to be more specific. Like, what is it you're actually looking for? Like, you should be careful what you wish for. If you wish for to be with anyone, you'll get just anyone. You'll get rubbish and you'll waste your life away. You know, you've got years of your life on this planet Earth, right? Don't think just because you're a certain age, you haven't got years of your life. I'm still really young. I class myself as really young, maybe even too young to get into a relationship at the moment. Do you know what I mean? I class myself as really, really young. And I've got tons of time to be in a relationship if I need to be. I don't have to be in it right now. You know, there is no criteria for age, but obviously as you do get older, you should know more about what you want. That's why a lot of guys can be attracted to older women, because they usually know what they want. They're settled. Their boundaries are more in place. Their standards are more in place. They're not going to mess you around. You know, whereas a lot of younger girls, like guys, sometimes don't like younger girls because it's like the girl doesn't even know what she wants. she's not really got much life experience to offer the younger guy, and it's like, you know, she's kind of wishy-washy and not really doing much with her life. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you've got to really hone down exactly what you want. You know, what's your ideal type of person look like? Write it out. Get a notepad and write down what your ideal type of person looks like. You know, what your ideal type of person has, what personality traits they have, what your ideal person has in terms of, like, you know, the type of things they want in terms of relationship, like marriage, kids, living together, not living together. Write down the things that you have to have that are deal breakers for you and the things that you can compromise on. You should be doing all this before you get into a relationship with anyone. You should be writing it out on a notepad, plain as day, writing it out. Sit there with yourself. If you cannot sit in a room with yourself with no TV on, no music on, no nothing, with a notepad just in your thoughts, if you cannot do that and write down the ideal person that you want, then something is really, really wrong with you, right? You know, really, really wrong, because you don't have a blooming clue what you want, right? And you can't spend time with yourself, means you don't love yourself. You hate yourself that much, you can't even spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes writing stuff down. You need to be in a place of love, be in a place of cup full as possible before you actually get into a relationship with anyone. You know, your cup should be as full as possible. Your life should be a happy place as much as possible. Obviously, if you suffer depression, you're not going to be happy all the time, are you? It's just a fact. But, you know, you need to be coming from a place of, like, you love yourself. If you go around hating yourself, how are you going to get into a good relationship? Because you're just going to end up accepting anyone that can give you any love and attention, anyone. And then that's not going to be good for you or for a partner, is it? If you're just going to have anyone come into your life, you know, sit down with a notepad and pen, spend 10 minutes, turn everything off, no distractions, no phone, no internet, no TV, no music. Sit on the bed if you want, chill out, write on a notepad exactly what you're looking for, the type of person. You know, write down stuff like, are you going to travel to see them if they don't live near you? Which obviously is a big question you should be answering if you're asexual, because a lot of the time the potential partner you're going to be with is not going to be in your city. Even if you find an asexual or asexuals in your city, the likelihood of them being an exact match or near enough match that you want is going to be quite remote. So you're likely going to be able to need to travel to meet up with a person, right? And so how far are you prepared to travel? Are you prepared to travel 100 miles, 200 miles? How's that going to work out financially for you? Are you in the financial position where you can actually date a lot? You can actually see that person a lot? What's going to happen? I mean, in any relationship, right? I'm telling you now, you can't eat out all the time, right? If you're going to start a relationship with someone, even if you both like going out, like I love going out. I could be out all the time if I had the money. I could be going here, there, and everywhere. I could go into theme parks, zoos, aquariums. I could be, you know, like going to the cinema every single day of my life that I wanted to. There was a good film on. I could be going out for a walk. I could be going out for meals, but it's not practical financial wise, right? And what's going to happen when these type of things stop or calm down? Yes, you should be ideally going for a date once a week with the person. Go out if you can afford it, right? You should be having at least a date night. It doesn't have to be going out. You could have a picnic indoors, or you could just have like you know, take a few hours walking together, or, you know, like just spend quality time together, right? But ideally you do want to be going out like some of the time. You don't want to stay indoors all the time, but you know, with finances sometimes you have to stay indoors. It's not practical to eat out all the time because you have to think of money and stuff. So it's like, you know, how's that going to work if they come around your place? Do you know, are they going to stay over? Are they not going to stay over? You know, like all these type of questions, like, you know, get an idea first on paper, pen and paper, what your ideal type of person is in terms of looks, personality, hobbies, interests, things that you are attracted to about certain people. So for example, I have clothes attraction, right? So I could put down like the type of clothes I like in a guy, the type of profession. If he worked in website design would be ideal. If he worked in the media, that would be another good thing. Creative stuff, you know. And so for example, clothes, you know, there's certain types of clothes that he wore, these certain type of clothes. I mean, obviously you're not going to get a picture perfect person, right? But you need to have like what they call an avatar. Like, they call this in marketing an avatar, which is like your ideal type of customer. So you have to like have a relationship avatar, you know, like someone who would be your ideal, you know, type of person to be in a relationship with, you know, your ideal. And of course you're not going to get the perfect person, but then you work out what your deal breakers are, what you cannot stand in a relationship. Like, I don't want children. I am not having children ever. I am not giving birth to kids. I've never wanted to give birth to kids since I'm 15 years old. That's a deal breaker for me. I don't care how handsome the guy is, what nationality is, ethnicity. Even if I had an Indian guy that came up to me and said, I want to be with you, but I want a kid, I'd be no, not doing it. Sorry, bye. I can't be with someone who wants me to give birth to kids. It's disgusting to me. I'm not interested. For me personally, happy that anyone else has kids, but not me, right? And so that is a deal breaker for me. And that's a huge thing for some people. Just because they're asexual doesn't mean to say that people don't want children. It's no good if you're on the profile and you're not even saying this stuff. You might come across someone you really like and you haven't even discussed that in the beginning. And you should always be discussing in the very beginning when you first start talking to people, like, what type of relationship are you looking for? And what do you think of kids? What do you think of marriage? You don't have to say, oh, are you looking to marry someone like me? Because that's not what you do. That'll scare the hell out of them and they'll want to run a mile. You just say, what do you think of marriage? What's your idea on it? You want someone who wants to get married, someone who doesn't want to get married? What's your idea on children? Do you want a family? Do you want kids or not? And if so, how do you if you're a person that doesn't mind having kids, as long as it's like by other means not having sex, then obviously you might be able to put that. I mean, I don't want kids personally. Do you know what I mean? I love my life the way it is. I personally just want me and that person in the relationship. That's the type of person I am. And you have to be very clear about not just the type of person you want, but the type of person you are. And what can you offer another person? What can you offer another person? You should be listing down your traits, the good things about you. And don't tell me you haven't got any good traits, because I don't believe you for 1 minute. If you haven't got any good traits, you wouldn't be watching this show, right? Because awesome people watch this show, right? Hey, brilliant people watch this show. So you need to be, you need to be working out your qualities and what you've got to offer a person. You don't want to get into a relationship and take from them all the time. You know what I mean? You need to be giving to them. What can you give them? It could be, your personality. Is like, so, for example, if you're given a relationship, what could you give? Obviously, you give your time. Time is the most precious thing you can give to someone. If you don't want to give any time for someone each week, if you're the type of person, I'm too busy, my career is the most important thing in my life, I'm too busy, I can't give any time, forget the relationship. Don't be in a relationship. If that's your attitude, don't. Your partner should be making you a priority. They should still be doing their own hobbies, their interests, their work, but they should be fitting time in to see you purposefully. So next time when you're going to speak to them, you shouldn't be left thinking, oh, well, they haven't made any communication with me. I don't know when I'm seeing them next. I don't know when we're talking next. Like, what the hell's going on? This is not good and healthy in a relationship, is it? If you don't even know when your partner wants to speak to you or see you next, you should always be having some consistency there. Right, striving to have some time together and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So the person, before they get into a relationship, you should be thinking, like, what time am I going to make for this person, and how's that going to fit into their life? Just because you have, say you have every Sunday free, for example, doesn't mean to say the other person has Sunday free. They might be working. When I worked in retail for years, I always worked every weekend and every bank holiday. That was it. I never got bank holidays off. I had one in my last job of 5 years, retail job. I had one bank holiday off, and that was a special concession because I went to a seminar in London and saw the guy got no hands, no feet. He was born with no hands and no feet. Absolutely amazing, incredible guy. I don't even know if I've got a picture of him. I might have actually. in my little oh yeah, here he is. This is the guy I saw. This was 2015. See, he's got Success Without Limits. He's got no arms and no legs. And he is in a relationship. He's married and got a kid. 2 kids now. So do not tell me, if you're watching this channel, you cannot get anyone when this guy has no arms, no legs. He has a flipper foot, right? And when you see him on stage, he's just got his torso, this bit here, right? And he goes around the whole world doing motivational speeches, right? This guy does. He has no arms, no legs, and he still can produce babies, and he's still got a beautiful wife who loves him. So don't give me that rubbish on this channel going, I can't get anyone. Look at me, poor me. Of course you can get someone. If he can get someone, then you can get someone. Don't think you can't. But again, someone is about having the confidence to know what you want in life and go and get it. Do you know what I mean? Go and get the person well, if you're monogamous, person you really want to be with. Don't give excuses. Go and get it. That's incredible. Exactly, Andy. This guy has a beautiful wife. I think she looks Chinese or whatever. She's got long brown hair, very gorgeous. He's still capable of reproducing. As far as I know, the kids were very natural, So, he's married with 2 children. So, you know, I mean, he's quite handsome in himself. He's not exactly like I go for, but he's quite a handsome face, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? And he has a loving wife. And why would a woman want to be with him? Because of the type of personality he's got. Because he doesn't give up. Because his motivational speeches, if you see them, they're one of the most inspiring things ever. And I've seen him live, you know? And he will literally try and climb up steps by himself with his flipper foot and his torso. And he will, you know, he's got this thing. I actually filmed him for my other channel, Quirky Books TV, if you want to go and see him on there. And I filmed him, and you know, and it was given his speech, and it was amazing. I filmed him for about 45 minutes. So as part of his speech, I couldn't film because it was about doing an exercise with the audience. The men dealing with a lot of, it was like people who've been abused or whatever, stand up now or had some bad things. What we take for granted. Exactly, Heather, what we take for granted, you know? And there was some type of, like, you had to reminisce about when you've been abused or when you've been hurt or in pain. And obviously it was an audience participation. I couldn't film that bit because we weren't allowed to, because it's private to the people that are in the thing. And then he was saying what you've got to do about it and how you can help yourself. But, you know, his speech is all about hope. It's about giving hope to other people, right? You know, so don't sit there saying you can't get anyone. It's rubbish. Getting someone is all about confidence, knowing exactly what you want, being self-assured, being as happy as you can be before you get the person, and, you know, being really strong and confident as much as possible. You know, I'm not going to tell you to go out there and be like Mr. Casanova or Miss whatever. I'm telling you, like, you know, you can be quietly confident. You don't have to be like brash. You can be quietly confident, right? You know, like, just because if you I mean, a lot of extroverts, a lot of asexuals are introverts, not extroverts. But you can still be a confident introvert. You can know what you want, see a person, think, yeah, this is what I want to be with. But don't just take the first person that comes along. You don't want that, right? You want to be working on your avatar and working on your ideal type of person, because then that way less people get hurt and you won't get hurt because you'll get exactly what you want. You don't want to just be in a relationship for 5 minutes, do you? I mean, why would you want that when you can, you know, I would rather be single for years to come and get the right person for me than get the wrong person, right? Because if you're with the wrong person, you can never be with the right person. Do you know what I mean? It's just not going to work. And what's the point in wasting your time and energy on a relationship for a few weeks when you could be building up your confidence and energy, and you can be working out what you really want for the future, for a long-term committed relationship, right? I mean, some people, they do like casual relationships. I personally don't see the point in that. I think it's a waste of time, and I don't promote that on this channel. Personally, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's good for you or for them, you know. But if some people want to do that, hey, they can do that, right? But I am talking about how to know if you're ready for a relationship, and I'm talking about a long-term committed relationship, not some fancy thing that you just go to for one night, have a snog, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what nightclubs are for. But you know what I mean? You don't want to be doing that type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is like serious. You know, I'm talking to you seriously. You know, any asexual can get a relationship, right? And it is harder for us, right? Because a majority of the population is sexual. And there's more aromantic asexuals, if you didn't know that, than any type of asexuals. So aromantic asexuals are the ones that don't experience any romantic attraction or sexual attraction. A lot of them don't even want relationships. So that kind of cuts your pool down. And there tends to be more female asexuals than males. So obviously I've got less pool of people than a guy has if the guy's attracted to women, and then a heteromantic, or, you know, a guy who's attracted to women. I've got less options in that way. So, but, you know, that doesn't mean to say I'm not going to get anyone. You know, it's really important that you get the right person for you, but it's really important that you're very stable and secure and know what you want. It doesn't mean to say that you're not going to get a surprise, because sometimes we think we want something and then actually we want something else. So you're now saying, like, how does that work, Sandra? You've just written down your avatar and now you get someone else. So, for example, I'll give you an example. There's a woman I know, and we used to be friends, and we used to see each other on and off a bit. And she had the ideal type of guy that she wanted, right? And she came across this guy, and he was happened to be Indian, right? You know, I like an Indian guy. I've been searching for an Indian asexual guy for years and still haven't found him. And anyway, so she wasn't looking for an Indian guy. She didn't want an Indian guy, right? But this guy came into her life. He was actually older than her by over 10 years as well, but he looked a lot younger because she showed me a picture of him. And he was like the perfect guy for her. Not in terms of the fact he's Indian, But that didn't matter because he was fulfilled all the criteria that she needed. A strong guy. He was older than her. She liked sex, right? She's not asexual. She loves sex. This guy was really good at sex for her, right? Like I'm asexual, right? I'm not into sex, but some people are, right? I have friends that are sexual. I'm fine to have friends that are sexual. I don't care if they're enjoying themselves. That's more power to them. Love, have a good time, enjoy yourself, right? I just don't want that for me, right? So she was like, oh, he can give me 4 or 5 orgasms a night, right? I can't even think about that because it's not something that sex doesn't do anything for me. Kissing does loads. It does loads, but it's not that, right? Okay, so she was really telling me about this, saying, oh, he's great because her past boyfriends are not like this. He's like at least 10 years older than her, but he knew what he wanted. She's a single mum, so he would do the cooking and housework, and he's very settled and knows what he wants. And she said, he's a strong guy I want, Sandra. I've always wanted. Just he happens to be Indian, which she wasn't looking for, but it didn't matter because all the other traits that she was looking for, he had. So this is what I mean when you create your ideal avatar, the person might not be the exact type of person you want. So I've always wanted an Indian guy for years, right? As you know, I don't know if I've been married to an Indian guy in a past life or what it is, but I've always felt I'm meant to be with an Indian guy. But last month I tried being with a British guy. It didn't work. But I don't think it just worked. I don't think it didn't work just because he's British. There was a lot of things that didn't work, and it wasn't a good guy for me in the end, right? But at least I tried. And so, I think you've got to be crystal clear on what you want, but you've also got to see like there might be room for maneuvers in some way, right? So I would love to be with an Indian guy, but it doesn't have to be an Indian guy. I could be with another foreign guy, for example, and now I've been with a British guy, it's possible I could be with a British guy, which I didn't think before. If he was the right British guy for me, I'm not attracted to all British guys, but obviously clearly I can be with a British guy now, which I didn't know. So I did actually learn a very valuable lesson by doing that relationship, even though it wasn't the best relationship in the end for me. At least I learned something from it, which is a good thing, right? And it was nice to be with someone who was 23 because it was good in lots of ways, not always, but it was good because it felt good, because I've always wanted to be with a really young guy in his 20s, but obviously they don't really know what they want at that age, which is the problem I have, so it's better to get someone who's in their later 20s or maybe even early 30s, really, for me. But it was nice. That part was nice about it. But so you have to everything happens for a reason, doesn't it? But but you have to be crystal clear on what you want. I mean, I've always wanted to be prior to last month. I've always wanted to be with an Indian guy, right? Because I've always had the top aesthetic attraction for them, intelligence attraction for them. I've liked the jobs they do. They usually do a lot of website design and stuff like that. I find that very stimulating. I've always wanted to kiss the guy madly who's Indian. I love the beautiful foreign skin. I mean, I'm super attracted to it, like just magnetically. You can't have cookies without the cream, I think. Sorry. But I've always thought I'm meant to be with someone, but obviously after last month, it's thrown a bit of a spanner in my works, really, because it's I thought I was definitely going to be with an Indian guy, and now I'm not. So now I'm a bit more flexible on that, I think, than I was before. A bit more flexible. But I kind of really like being with the young guys. Well, but a lot of the young guys, they don't really know what they want. Do you know what I mean? That is an issue. They don't know what they want. And then if they don't know what they want, it goes back to the same thing about, are you really ready for a relationship? Which is what this video is about. If you don't know what you want, you're not ready for a relationship. You might think you know what you want, or it might just be a fantasy or fallacy to be with someone for a few weeks. Do you know what I mean? And that's not good. That's not a relationship. That's just a fantasy that you just want to live out for your own pleasure. Do you know what I mean? It's not good. It's not good for the other person. They'll get hurt. Don't do that to someone. So being strong and know what you want before you get into a relationship is not just vital for yourself, but it's vital for the person you get into a relationship with. You don't want to be messing someone around. You don't want to be messing up their mind. You don't want to be just using them. Even if it's unintentional. If you don't know what the hell you want, I'll just be with this person because they happen to be here at this point in time. That's kind of using them, right? You don't want to be that person who does that, right? You want to choose to be with that person, choose to go and spend time with them, choose to go in a relationship with them, not just have them because they happen to be convenient. It's I have asexual friends, but it's they're not all suitable for me to be in a relationship with. Do you know what I mean? Just because they're my friends. I have guys I know in my city, right, who are not suitable for me to be in a relationship with. But obviously they're handy because they happen to be on my doorstep. I don't have to travel to see them, but they're not right for me to be in a relationship with. I'm not attracted to them for a start. I mean, their personalities are quite nice. I get on well with them. Well, particularly one of them, me probably a little bit more than the other, but they're not right for me to be in a relationship with. just because they happen to be there. Do you know what I mean? It's not about relationships, not about being convenient. They're about going for what you really want in life, taking action, consistent action, and really putting the amount of energy and effort into it takes to have a long, sustainable, fulfilling relationship. I know a lot of asexuals, they won't travel. They're like, I want someone in my city, that's it. And they'll message me, I haven't got anyone still. It's like, well, of course you're not likely to get someone, are you, that's damn well perfectly suitable for you in your city. You have to go and travel, move, but obviously that does require finances, right? And it's like, have you got the finance to do that? Personally, for me, financially, I'm not in that position that I can go to someone at the moment, right? I'm not in that position that maybe if they live locally, maybe, yeah, but if they live like I love London, don't I? I don't mind being with someone who lives in London, but I haven't got the finances to go backwards and forwards to London at the moment, so I can't be in a relationship with someone who lives in London. I just can't, unless they're the type of person that has their own house, their own transport, wants to come and see me every weekend, and they don't mind coming every weekend. It's just something that they love to do. It's innately bred into them. They're just like, oh, I'm the guy, I want to come and see my girl. And but then I can't see them every weekend because I'm busy doing stuff that I need to get done, and sometimes weekends are my prime time for doing it, and sometimes I see my best friend on a Friday or Sunday, and so I can't see them every weekend. And never be presumptuous in a relationship either. That's something else. Before you get into a relationship, never go in with the attitude and be presumptuous that, oh, this person's going to see me every weekend. Like, if I can't see a guy for a weekend, I would hope that he would be saying, right, oh, well, I'll come and see you this day instead, or this evening to spend some time with you, right? Because you can't see me because you're seeing your friends. I don't expect him to just go, oh, right, well, you're not seeing me this weekend, so I can't see you for 3 weekends now, or I can't see you for 2 weeks because you're not seeing me at the weekend. I expect him to be able to say to me, okay, I really want to see you. I understand you've got friends to see as well. Like, what about a Monday night or something? Or what about an afternoon or something? Do you know what I mean? Because I'd just really love to see you. And I think that's so important that you get all this stuff. Like, your own mind before you get into a relationship. Kind of you've played through some scenarios of what might happen. So you're kind of really, really, your mind's really, really thought things through. I think a lot of people who get into a relationship, they don't think things through. They don't think the practicality of meeting up with the person. They don't think of the financial things you're going to have to undergo. They don't think about food and toiletries that they're going to have to take over each other's places or buy there and then. They don't think about the living arrangements, the sleeping arrangements. They don't think about the working hours, how they're going to fit into each other's lives. You've got all that practical stuff to think about, as well as on top of, is this person the right person for you in terms of personality and interests and hobbies? Is this person, like a good person for me, a kind-hearted? Are they trustworthy? So you've got tons and tons of things to be thinking about. I don't want to overwhelm you and you to just think, oh, I don't want a relationship, full stop. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to tell it to you real, like it is, and so that you ultimately get a good idea of the type of person you want to be in a relationship with. You can actually spend quality time with yourself, getting to know yourself better. It's no good putting it off. It's no good saying, oh, well, I want a relationship, but I'm just going to bury my head in the sand and pretend like I don't know what I want. It's no good. That's a baby. That's immature. You're not immature, are you? You're mature, right? You sit down and you look and you think, right, okay, what do I want? What's the type of person that's best for me? What can I tolerate in a relationship? What can I not tolerate? What do I want? What do I don't want? Like, I've come across some people that are like, oh, I want anyone. Like I just said earlier in the asexual, if I was like, no, you don't want anyone. Like, I personally can't be with a smoker. I can't, because I get chest infection, right? Even if I wanted to be, if I saw someone drop dead gorgeous, I can't be, because it affects my health. My health is more important. I can't, as you know, from being with dating a foreign guy last year, and I got a chest infection being with them, like from them smoking, even though they weren't smoking in my presence, they were going outside to do it. I can't be with a smoker. I've never wanted to be with a smoker in my life anyway, but I don't know, for some wild, crazy reason, I decided to have a date with someone who ended up being a smoker, and I kissed him loads and I was fine at the time, and then I got a chest infection for 7 weeks. I can't be with someone like that, can I? So that's impractical. So again, don't smoking. I don't want someone who takes drugs either. I can't stand being with someone who takes drugs. I don't think that's good for their body, right? Cross out. I would actually personally prefer to be with someone who's vegetarian, but I'm not, or someone who doesn't eat much or any red meat, like I don't. I hate the smell of red meat. I can't stand it. I actually prefer to be with someone who doesn't drink. any alcohol whatsoever, ideally, but if they just drank a little bit, okay, I might be able to accept that out of them. But I don't want someone who's getting drunk every night. I hate alcohol personally. I can't stand it. It's disgusting, it smells, and it's toxic for the body. I mean, obviously I'm not a skinny girl, but I do have standards, and I don't think it's good to poison your body with loads of toxins for alcohol. Having said that, a lot of my like my sexual friends in particular, they drink quite a lot, right? But I'm not kissing them. I'm not in a relationship with them. They don't affect my life that badly. And when I'm out, like one of my friends drinks a lot, but she can hold it. She doesn't get, well, occasionally she does get really peed, but a lot of the time she's fine. But it's like I don't want a guy who I'm going to be in a relationship with. Like said, do go out there and say he does stay over my place and he's drunk and he's all over me. I just think that's disgusting. Get off me. I don't want to be with a drunk. I don't want to be with a guy who stinks of alcohol and that. Why do I need that in my life? I don't do that in my life as it is. Why do I need a guy who does that? I don't. It's just hideous for me. So, really, I prefer to be with a guy who drank zero alcohol or very little, or just preferably didn't do so much around me, It's just like, I don't like it, and then, then you've got to weigh up as well. Are you happier being single than being in a relationship, right? So we're coming on to the single stage now, right? So obviously, if you think that you're meant to be single at the moment, stay single because obviously it's good for you. However, a lot of people tend to be in a better position when they're really, really happy being single. They don't need to be in a relationship because they're happy being single. They can live a really happy, beautiful life by themselves, but they might still end up in a relationship because when you're single and totally happy with your life, being on your own, spending time on your own, you're coming from a much more stronger place to actually be in a relationship with, because you're not going to be with someone because you've got nothing better to do with your life. You're not going to be with someone because you're bored or lonely in your life and you're coming from a place of lack and need and want. You're going to be coming from a place where actually I'm happy being single. I don't need to be with anyone. But it would be nice if I had someone, right? If they happen to come along, right? So that's kind of the stage you need to be getting to. So I'm really happy being single. I'm happy on my own, but I'd like to share my life with a special someone, I really like to, like people tend to get to the stage where they're thinking, okay, well, I've been single for quite a while. It's been good. I've enjoyed it. I like doing things on my own. I like spending time with myself, but there's something that I think would be quite good. I think that'd be nice to have a person to share my life with, because I'm coming from a place of like, well, I've like done all the single stuff or, like all the really wild, crazy day stuff. And, like I really like to settle down. I mean, settling down can be different things. So if a guy comes to me and says, I want to settle down, he might mean I want to get married with kids or I want to get married and live together. That's not what I mean by settling down. If I want to settle down, it means I want to be in a stable, long-term committed relationship, but I still want to live by myself. I still want to go out and enjoy my life. Do you know what I mean? While still being really committed to that person. So you've got to, again, like before you get into a relationship, clearly define what you want and what they want. And you really should be discussing standards, expectations, and needs before you even get into it, because it might be very different. Like someone might say, oh, I need daily contact. They might just send a text going, hi. And you might be like, God, is that your daily contact? Really? Seriously? A hi? I could say that to someone down the supermarket. Do you know what I mean? And then the other person might be like, I need daily contact. I expect an hour's conversation every single day, which might not always be practical. So, you know what I mean? It's like, you've got to have your needs, your boundaries, your expectations, your avatar of the ideal person in place before you get into a relationship. And then you've got to see if the other person's matches up similarly to yours. You're not going to be exactly the same on everything. Like I love being, I love being single, but even when I'm in a relationship, I'm still going to want to do some self-dating, right? Self-dating is really good. Sometimes I'm going to want to go to the cinema by myself. I'm going to go, oh, there's a kids movie on. I'm just going to go because I love watching kids movies. Like it's Saturday or Sunday, I'm off, but sometimes I might want to be with a partner and I might want to watch cinema with them. And other times I just want to go on my own because I love being single at the moment. And I always will love spending time with myself, it's really good and healthy for me to spend time with myself. So even when you're in a relationship, it's good to still spend time with yourself, like go out for a walk by yourself, spend some time by yourself. In fact, it's imperative, I think, that you do spend some time doing solo activities as well, like where you haven't got anyone involved. I mean, if all you're doing is getting tons of everyone else involved in all your life every single day, you're never really getting to know yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like I might switch off the internet for a bit and I might just chill out with a movie with myself, I might decide, oh, I want to put a film on now. I'll go and watch a movie for 2 hours and I'll just chill out by myself and not have any distractions because I just need that me time. And I think that's very healthy. I think what's unhealthy sometimes is when people are in a relationship and they do make time for the person, which is great, and they make time for everyone else, but they never make time for themselves. And then they can feel a bit stressed out and distraught and like they're disconnected from their own personality or their own soul. And then when they feel disconnected from themselves, they're less likely to be connected to the other person they're in a relationship with, because they're less likely to come from a place of love and caringness. They're coming from a place of emptiness and like, oh, I'm missing myself. Where's myself gone? Do you know what I mean? So you never want to lose yourself in a relationship, which can happen. You can lose yourself so much in a relationship. You want to, like you can be crazy in love and lose yourself crazy in love, but you don't want to be so crazy in love that you completely lose yourself, right? You still want to maintain a degree of yourself, right? Because that's why the person fell in love with you in the first place. As presumably, if you were being true and authentic and honest with them in the beginning. If you weren't, then obviously they fell in love with a fallacy or something they thought you were that you're not, which you shouldn't get into a relationship if you got that persona. Or and if you can't, if you get into, if you're the type of person that can't get into a relationship and be open and honest and maintain that open honest communication indefinitely, you shouldn't be in a relationship. Relationships take a lot of work, communication constantly, and consistently. If you're over suddenly, I've been with guys and they're great as friends. As soon as you get into a relationship with them, they clam up. They don't be open anymore. It's like, where the hell's my best friend gone? Do you know what I mean? What happened to him? Now I'm getting the shite. Excuse my language. I'm just getting like more of a colleague or more of a like friend, but not deep soulmate connection with them. What the hell's going on with this person? I feel distant. I feel the relationship's not right. Something's off. I shouldn't be with this person, and I'm not going to be with them if they start giving me those bad vibes, because they're going to start. You can feel it. I'm able to sense stuff like that very easily. If someone's like off with me, if something's going on. One of the worst things is when something's gone on with the person and they're just lying about it. They're just like, oh, nothing's wrong. No, nothing's going on. No, everything's fine. It's bollocks, right? Excuse my language, but you do. I can sense it. I'm not stupid. I can sense it by their body language, by the way they speak to me, by what they don't say, usually, not just by what they do say. And I don't want a person like that, yeah? I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very open, very honest. You can pretty much ask me anything. If I'm upset, I will tell someone I'm upset. And I expect them to say, okay, let's discuss it. Like, what are you upset by? But sometimes sometimes it's really difficult in relationships because you might be having some really upset time and there might be something in the relationship that's not quite right and you need to discuss it, but it's not a convenient time. You really have to be making that a priority of time for that person to sort it out, because if you don't, it will just escalate and you likely split up. That's one of the worst things, is when communication isn't consistent and like some person's been feeling weird in the relationship for like 2 days and you haven't really been saying anything, you've just been keeping it to yourself, and then all of a sudden you just feel so distant that you feel cut off, that you kind of cause an argument on purpose and to go away from each other because you push each other away. You don't want that. I don't want that. I want a guy who can consistently, my soulmate, who, if he's having trouble, he can just be open and honest and say, look, I'm going through this right now. This is happening. Like, this happened with my job the other day, or this happened with this person. They weren't very nice to me. Like, if I was in a job and I had someone bullying me and not being nice, I go home saying I've had a really rubbish day, right? And this person was bullying me and saying this horrible stuff. I'm not feeling great right now. I'm feeling a bit rubbish, to be honest. I just want to sit here and chill or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I'd be talking to them. I'd be explaining to the person I'm with. It's like if you're going out for example, for the night with your friends, you need to be saying, look, hey, I'm going out tonight with my friends. Just, like, if you're in a relationship, it's kind of courteous. You let the other person know. Some people have the idea that, oh, I'm under the thumb now in a relationship. It's not about that. If you care about the other person, you'll be saying, oh, hey, honey, like, I'm going out with these people tonight or in 2 days. You don't really want a relationship where the other person doesn't know what the hell you're doing. You can do what you want, you don't have to be chained down or anything like that, but you kind of should know your partner, what, be sharing your everyday life with each other. Like, even if you don't see each other 4 or 5 days, it's kind of like, you don't have to, like, you might not say every little thing because you might forget it and it might not be on your mind, but it's like, what I mean? It's like, if you're doing the weekly thing, you might be like, oh yeah, I'm meeting my mate this day, but sometimes you're not going to know everything because, sometimes you just want to go and do something. Do you know what I mean? Spontaneously. Like, if I want to go to the cinema, I'm not going to say to the time, oh, I might go to the cinema, I might not. That would be ridiculous. And, so you don't expect them to tell you anything and everything, but, you're kind of like, if they know something big's coming up, like for example, like, I already know that I'm going with my best friend in October to see Disney on Ice. So I told my other friend, like, I'm going to see Disney on Ice with my friend, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to see. I'm going to go in someone else with him because we got the same best friend." So it's like, it's like mutual respect, isn't it? And just telling each other what's happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're obviously just friends, but I mean, in a relationship, you'd be doing that type of thing. You'd be like sharing, stuff. So the more open and honest you are, the more trust is gained and kept. The more secretive you are, the more you don't tell the person, the more they'll start thinking, are you cheating on me? Are you seeing another person? Don't think that asexuals can't cheat. They might not be cheating having sex, but they could still be seeing them in 10 other people behind your back and thinking which one's best to be in a relationship with when I come out of the relationship with this person. Or do I really want to, or I'll keep this relationship going while I'm really totting up these other people, I mean, you've got to ask yourself, okay, what would happen if you have 5 people interested in you, 5 people wanting a relationship with you? What are you going to do then? Are you going to have your avatar and know ideally what the type of person is that you want to be in a relationship with and think that's the one I'm going to choose as the nearest one of them, or the one I feel most closest to, the one I trust the most, the one I feel most soulmate connection for? What are you going to do? Because some asexuals are like, oh, well, I haven't got anyone. Like I was even like, there was someone who Skyped me once. They sent me a Skype message, and it was this guy came from Twitter or something going, oh, I'm interested in you. I think he's about 30 years older than me. I'm not interested in older guys, and certainly not one that's 30 years older than me. And I said this in one of my asexual groups, and they're like, oh, well, I'd just be glad I've got someone who wants to talk to me and interested in me. And I'm thinking, you know what I mean? It's not, first of all, they were just going to be after sex. Do you really think someone who's come off Twitter and talking to me like that is just not after one thing? Of course they are. I'm not interested in that. Like, I get offered, it's like last night I got a message from a guy, or someone befriended me. I've unfriended him now. Oh, hello, beautiful woman. Yes, it's lovely to be called a beautiful woman, but it's like, do I really want that guy on my friends list, And it's like, you know what I mean? He's just after, you look at his profile and he's just like, yeah, he's just making friends with women. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's up to. Some people like that. Some guys are just women collectors. If you look, that's how you can tell if a guy is a really good guy or not. If you just look through their friends list and see their friends, if you see a guy's got mostly women friends, the majority of the time, they're after women. Do you know what I mean? I know that's a very stereotype, but it tends to be true. And you'll get the guy that's just created the profile like a few days ago, and then all he's got is a bunch of women on there. It's like, well, that isn't your real profile. You could be married with children and have another second profile. Do you know what I mean? So before you get into a relationship with anyone, you should be connected to them on social media as well. I highly recommend that. I know it sounds weird, but you should be connected to them on Facebook first, so you can see their friends list and you can see what they're up to. They shouldn't have any problem. I have no problem doing that. I actually have my Facebook on public. Anyone can see my profile. I have nothing to hide. Absolutely diddly squat. What about nothing? Nothing. You shouldn't be in a position with any person think about getting a relationship where they got stuff to hide. If you search them all over social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, I'll say, go ahead, check me out. I don't mind. I'm fine. I'm an open book. What have I got to hide? Diddly squat. Nothing. You can check me. I'm okay with that because you've got to come from a place where you trust yourself, you respect yourself, you're an open book, you don't have anything to hide, and you've got no deep dark secrets. The worst thing you can have is deep dark secrets you're not prepared to share. You should be sharing this stuff up front with the person, and they can make an informed choice and decision whether to be with you or not. And you need to ask yourself, okay, like, so what if I have maybe I've got no people in my life now, maybe I've never been in a relationship, I've got no one interested in me, and then you've got to ask yourself, okay, so if I had 5 people interested in me, how would I choose one of those 5 people? You've got to know this. Like, I had a friend who's still my friend, but we speak much because he's got a fiance now, and he's very dedicated to his woman. He's not the type of guy that goes around messaging other women when he's got a woman, it might message once in the blue moon, he's just so dedicated to his future wife. I just love that about him, right? And I knew he's like that. But when he came to my meetup, he's like, oh, I love loads of women, Sandra, they're all beautiful. I said, yeah, but what do you actually want in a relationship? And he wants someone he could go traveling with. And I'm like, okay, so these people that you're talking to, all these beautiful asexual women that you like, which ones actually want to go traveling? And he's like, oh. I said, well, exactly. If you want someone to go traveling with, and the majority of these women don't want to go traveling, why are you even considering them for a relationship? Because they're not suitable by just the fact you want to go traveling with someone and they don't want to, or they're not in position to. Well, they don't really like it. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's no good being wishy-washy saying, oh, I have anyone and everyone, because he was the type of guy that, he'd been badly hurt. He'd been badly hurt by a woman, actually. Been really being really used by a woman, at least one woman. And when he came to one of my meetups, he was in tears, he was in bits, and and he'd been badly hurt by someone, a sexual person it was, and he'd been badly hurt by more than one, I think, but one that particular time, and he was heartbroken, and he was kind of like thinking, he was trying to change himself as well. He was becoming more outgoing, even though he's usually introvert, so he's being more extrovert. And he did find his girl. He did find his girl. To 3 months it took, going around to all the asexual meetups to find the right person for him. Right. And he's going to be getting married to his woman next year now, and I see them on Facebook. They're so beautiful together. But he's a very dedicated guy. He's not, he's like, like some people, when they get together in a relationship, they probably spend too much time with each other. Some people might think, because they're like literally best friends, soulmates, always together in the pictures. They don't live together at the moment, actually, as far as I know, so they can't be together all the time. But his whole life revolves around his woman. But I know he's that type of guy. He just is. He's just utterly, utterly devoted to her, not interested in any other women. That's just the way he is, and I respect him so much for that, because I think that's very, very good. There's not many guys in the world like that. But just by talking to him that little bit and saying, well, how many of these people are actually looking to travel like you are? It made him think, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to make yourself think. Like, I can't be with someone who wants to go have a travel buddy, because I don't want to travel the world. I mean, most guys do, right? Most foreign guys do as well. They'll one of their things they put in their profile, like, oh, I like someone to go traveling the world with, or I want to go to like 5-10 countries in the next year. It's like, well, I can't do that because I'm not interested in that. That's not interesting for me in my life. And if I got with that person, it would be wrong, wouldn't it? Because they'd feel like they were trapped, and they wouldn't actually be with me in the first place, because they'd already decided that's what they need in a relationship. And that's why it's so important that you spend this time getting to know yourself, getting to know exactly what you want, so you're really, really super strong when you come into the relationship dating field. Yes, you might need to be flexible on some things, but not on your deal breakers, right? Like I said, my friend, she met a guy that fitted all the criteria, but he happened to be Indian. She didn't really want an Indian guy, but he happened to fulfill all the rest, right? You might like someone who you might want someone who's got brown hair, but they might turn out to have blonde hair, right? That's not the deal breaker, is it? You might find that someone who, that has a cup of coffee and you don't drink coffee. You might find someone who, you might find someone who's, who's got a different hobby or interest. You don't want to have all the same hobbies and interests, right? Do you know what I mean? You might be, the type of person that's introverted yourself, but you might like to be with an extrovert, because they might bring out a more extrovert side to you that could be good for you. And same with an extrovert, could be with an introvert, because there might be some introverted things that you actually, you might have some introverted tendencies or something. Do you know what I mean? But, you've got to think what's best for you. And, like for me as an extrovert in a pool full of introverts, I've got to decide if I'd like to be with an introvert. And if so, what introverted qualities would I like and what wouldn't I like? What would be good for me? And an ambivert would be good for me. Someone who's a bit of both in a way, like introvert and extrovert. But having said that, sometimes they can be like a chameleon and change, and I don't like that about a person. I like something steadfast, rock solid. Like some people who are ambivert, they can be like, oh, well, in social situation I'm like this, but in another situation I'm like that, and I'm like, An ambivert is really someone who's neither introvert nor extrovert. They're in the middle, and they can be extrovert in certain situations, introvert in others. That can be good in one sense, but not if they're changeable like the wind. I don't want someone changeable like the wind. I want someone who's the same in all different situations, because that's what I am. I'm very, very the same. You can put me in this position on a YouTube channel. You can put me in a retail job. I'll still have the same bubbly personality. I'll still be chatting to the customers loads. I'll still be my natural, authentic self, which is not what most people do. Most people can't be their authentic self in this world. Most people are just living a shell of a life, and they're copying what other people want around them, because they don't want to be rejected, don't want to be not liked. They worry about what people think too much. Do you know what I mean? So, you've really got to be your authentic self. And before you get into a relationship, you've got to ask yourself, am I being my authentic self? Have I got to know myself? Am I being true to myself? Am I being my authentic self? Am I living my life, or am I just living for other people's and copycat? Because that's, you're going to end up being very sort of shallow person for yourself, as in sense of not a whole person, if you're just going around copying other people and living and moving with, you know, like moving with the wind, like changing with the wind. That's not stable. You need to be stable, secure, to give someone the best type of relationship. And when you're looking for a relationship, don't just look for it for yourself. Think, am I ready for another person? Am I in a good place for the other person? Am I going to be able to give them the love, care, time, and attention they need? Am I going to be able to be strong? Am I going to be able to be confident for the person? Am I going to know what I want? Or am I just going to be wishy-washy, going around in circles like a headless chicken, not knowing what I want? If like 5 people happen to turn up in my life at one time, they're all interested in a relationship with me, and I don't know what the hell I want, so I don't know which one I'm going to pick. You're not ready for a relationship, because you're just all over the place. Your mind is just all over the place. You're not stable. You don't know what you want. And that's not good for a relationship. I would not advise anyone to get in a relationship with someone who the hell they don't know what they want, even if you like them loads, because they are going to be no good for you. They're not going to be stable. They're not going to be strong. You're not going to be able to trust them totally either, because if they are all over the place, they're not trustworthy, are they? They don't know what the hell they want. They're like a set of dominoes. You push one bit of them, the whole lot falls down. You know, there's no stability there, is there? Right? So you need to be looking for someone. Before you get into a relationship, you need to be knowing exactly what you want, the type of person you want, the avatar that you want, the ideal person, what your deal breakers are, what you can compromise on, what you can't compromise on, what you might be flexible on, what you might not be flexible on. You know, you need to be thinking of practicalities like living arrangements, you know, like marriage, kids, all those tough questions you need to ask yourself. Obviously, ask the person before you get into a relationship. At very early stages, you'd be asking them the you know, the deal breakers. Are they interested in marriage, kids? Not with you, just in general. Never say with you personally, because you don't want that. You know, people will run a mile. You know, I mean, I'm not interested in having children, but imagine say, oh, are you looking to have a baby with me? I mean, the person would be like, what the hell? Run a mile. You don't want that. And so you need to be coming from a place of self-love, self-worth, self-care, self-esteem, as confident as you can be. You're not going to be like that 24/7, obviously, and know exactly what you want. Be stable, be as financially secure as you can be, if possible. I mean, obviously, my finances situation isn't great at the moment, so I'm really better off being single in a financial way. Doesn't mean to say I can't get in a relationship, but you know, I would be better if I was in a more financially stable position than I'm in now. You know, like if a right person come along, you know, I still consider it. I'm not going to but at the moment, I need to be single anyway, because I just came out of a relationship I was in last month. Like I said, I don't recommend just getting into a relationship just like that. You know, you need to give yourself a good break in between relationships, right? Which is something I didn't do in the past, but I have learned. So, you know, make sure you're coming from a really good place where you've got a deep amount of self-trust, self-respect, self-care, self-worth, self-love, confidence in exactly what you want, you know, boundary driven, standards driven, can discuss things with the person that you're wanting to be in a relationship with before you even get in there, and can think how you're going to be good for that other person. What are you going to do? What value are you going to bring to their life? You know, value doesn't mean necessarily money. It can mean like, you know, like what quality traits will people like? Like, I know the right person will love the fact that I am hyper and bubbly. The wrong person won't. They'll totally hate it. They'll be like, oh, too much energy for me. I can't be doing that. That's a wrong person, right? The wrong person for me. A right person for me will be like, oh my god, I love being with Sandra. She's so energetic and bubbly. I really love the like feistiness in her sometimes. I really love the sparkle in her eye. I really love her strength of character. You know, a good person for me will want to talk to me a lot, will want to listen to me, want to speak to me, interact with me. They won't think, oh, she talks loads. They'll be like, oh god, I can't get enough of talking to her. She's a really interesting person. I really love speaking to her. I never get bored with her, you know. And so, you know, when you get into a relationship with someone, it's not just about yourself, it's about the other person, what you can bring to the table. But obviously the right person will see you in the right way. Like you might think, right, well, I'm not like other guys. I don't go out clubbing. I don't go around chatting up loads of women. Some women will love that about you. They'll be like, good, I want a stable, I want a strong guy. I don't want a guys going around chatting up loads of women and going around nightclubs pulling loads of women. What do I want that for? Maybe I wanted that in kindergarten, but I don't want that long term for a stable relationship. You know, why you might think, oh, I, you know, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe you like, I don't know, maybe you like you'd rather watch movies than maybe go out clubbing, right? Like some people might like that about you because they might think, well, that's a nicer thing to do rather than go out and like look at oaths of women and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Or where you might think like, like I'm not the best looking person in the world, you might think that about yourself, but a relationship is not just about the best looks, is it? A lot of the time, the best looking guys are the ones that are likely to break a woman's heart, to be quite honest with you. They're the ones that are very, very confident, overconfident. They can get all the women that they want. They'll be on the pull every night. And that's not what you want. A lot of women, for example, if they're looking for a guy, will want a very strong, stable, secure guy, someone who isn't so wild and crazy long term. They might like that short term, but long term, they want a guy who's stable, who's strong, who's consistent, who's persistent, who's there for them, who's a shoulder to cry on, who they can be emotional with too. I mean, guys should be able to be emotional with their woman as well, or partner if you're a homo romantic or pan romantic, or biromantic, whatever gender you're attracted to, So when you think, like your qualities, everyone's got qualities, haven't they? Right? I like, like I've got really good qualities, but some people, like some guys, won't want to be in a relationship, right? They'll be like, oh, she's really nice to hang out with, she's really bubbly, really loud, really talkative, love her personality, great to hang out with, but I couldn't be in a relationship with her because she's just too hyper, too bubbly, too energetic for me. But she's okay to talk to as a friend, right? They might like to hang out with me. They might even think about having a relationship with me temporarily, but they don't want that type of person to settle down with. They'd rather have a housewife who's going to cook for them, clean for them, wash their underwear for them, and generally just sit at home watching TV, watching Netflix and chill, which is not my style. A lot of asexuals like Netflix and chill, right? That would bore me to bits, right? I'm not interested in Netflix and chill, right? And so, I mean, I will watch some movies, I will go out sometimes, but I would rather sit opposite a person, have an intelligent conversation with them, or go out for a walk and kiss under the moonlight, or kiss for 10 hours, as you know, than do that type of thing, so that you got to make sure that before you enter a relationship that you're going in from a place of strength and knowing exactly what you want, but also working out what strengths you've got for someone, like I know a lot of my strengths, right? I know my weaknesses, right? But really the right person will love your weaknesses as well, usually. They'll love the things that maybe you don't love about yourself so much. Maybe you wish you could change but you can't, or you don't want to, or it's just you need, you're not going to be the perfect person. And so don't think that just because you're different to other people that someone's not going to love you or like you for who you are, because the right person will. The right person, the real right person for me will be when I get someone who's genuinely honest and says, look, I really love you for your personality, there's no one else like you, Sandra, you've got such a unique personality, I need to be with you, I don't want anyone else. That's the type of person that I kind of look for and aspire to be with. But I need a genuine guy, not someone who just watches this YouTube video and thinks, I'll contact Sandra and tell her that's what I want, because that can happen, obviously, because I'm on here all the time telling people what I want. I can get guys who've seen me on this channel and just tell me what I want to hear because they're like, oh, I know what she wants, so I just tell her. And it's just a temporary fix for them, like, I'll be kissing her for a little bit and then that's it. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I don't want someone like that. But you can find out the genuine people in the end. But like, again, because I'm extroverted as well, I do need someone who likes me. It doesn't mean to say they have to be extroverted, but they need to like my personality, being extroverted and the way I am. Do you know what I mean? And like some introverts, they get energy drained, so that if you're around them and you're talking to them a lot, they'll feel drained of energy. That's no good for me, because I would just feel like my personality is a burden to them and they don't really like it. Do you see what I mean? But if you get an introvert that's maybe just likes to spend, like time on their own rather than go out socializing all the time, then I could be with someone like that, because that's fine. I can go out and socialize with my friends, even if they decide they like to socialize and be less sociable and they'd rather stay indoors a bit more on their own. I don't need to live with them. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to be staying indoors just because they are, because I can live my own life. Do you know what I mean? So that doesn't really matter to me, does it? Or, like maybe I want to go out to a party with like, a group of people, and they would just rather stay at home and have a mate over or something. Do you know what I mean? Or go down the pub with a mate, like, you know what I mean? It's like, you've got to consider the other person, whether they're good for you and whether you're good for them. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with staying single. So as well, if you're really enjoying being single at the moment, your mind is single-minded, you really think it's the best thing for you to do, then be single. You know, there's no better relationship than loving yourself and being with yourself. And the stronger you are as a single person, the stronger your mind is, the better place you'll be to get into a relationship in the first place. If you're coming from a place of lack and need and I just want someone in my life, that's not a good place to be. You'll just have anyone and everyone that's not stable, not strong, right? So you need to be really good with yourself first, and then find the right person for you to be in a relationship with. It might go right, it might not go right, but if you've got a really good roadmap, which is why you need to do your avatar and think about what you need and everything, cover all the different areas of your life, you know, like the practicalities with them, the hobbies, the interests, the looks, you know, everything else. If you write it all down, at least you've got a good idea of what you want, then you can move forward and press on with it. And then the people that you really don't fit, the ones that don't fit any of your criteria, chuck them out straight away. The people that fit some of your criteria, you can bear them in mind. The people that fit a lot of your criteria, you know, you're going to want to spend more time with, getting to know, until you work out, you know, like, is the person right for you or not? Do you know what I mean? So just bear that in mind. Anyway, hopefully this video has been very useful, helpful, insightful for you in some ways. Thank you for the 3 thumbs up. If anyone else is here wants to give me a thumbs up that hasn't already, that would be greatly appreciated. If you haven't already subscribed and you're new to this channel, you just come across me, that was an awesome live stream. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Andy. Lots of love to you. Lots of love to her, and lots of love to everyone else who's been watching tonight. And don't forget, give this video a thumbs up, share it with any friends or anyone you feel may benefit. Subscribe if you haven't already by hitting the subscribe button down below. Don't forget, click on that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live or post a new video like now. If you haven't already checked out my Asexual Perspectives book, check it down in the links below. It's a really, really insightful read, and you'll get a lot out of it. And it does talk a lot about different types of relationships in there. Like, there's people who are in relationships with sexuals, who are asexual, and people who are asexual in relationships with other asexuals. So if you want to know more about relationships, that's a really good book to check out. You know, like if you want to get the Kindle edition, it's the price of a good cappuccino or something. So just go and click the links below. Anyway, until next time, embrace your quirky and each other. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all to bits. Thank you so much. Love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Take care. And I'll see you on the next live stream video. Good morning if you're in a different country. Take care. Have a nice day. Bye. Lots of love. Bye.